Hi everyone. Welcome to this virtual briefing for the Early Years Ordinarily Available Provision document, which hopefully you've managed to have a little look at by now. We're just going to talk through some things before we have a look through the document together. So just for some context, really, the Early Years Ordinarily Available Provision Guidance document explains to settings, families and other practitioners what should be in place in early years settings. So that might be within schools or private nurseries or within childminder settings. So it outlines what should be available for all young children. Settings should use the guidance to help them make sure they've got in place everything that's expected of them within the law and within national guidance as well. Ordinarily available provision refers to the range of activities, experiences and strategies offered as part of high quality teaching for all children. It includes what providers can do as part of the requirement to identify and support children with emerging additional needs and/or SEND through early identification and the 4 stages of action referred to as the graduated approach. It sets out clear expectations that will ensure inclusive provision across the early years sector, which is of a consistently high standard. And the document is based on government legal requirements as detailed in the Special Educational Needs and Disability Code of Practice 2014 and on national best practice. So some of you might be aware of the schools version of this document. And as the early years team, we were tasked with creating this one specifically for early years. It was a big piece of work, and we're really happy that it's finally been sent out to you all and is there for you to use. We involved parents and carers in the production of the document, as well as other professionals like speech and language, health visitors, portage, colleagues from the HINT team, and sensory support as well as colleagues from schools and nurseries across Northumberland. So this session today is just a briefing. We will have a little walkthrough of the document together in a little minute, but if you want to book on some more in-depth face-to-face training, that'll be happening in the autumn term, and you can book that via the School Readiness Passport in the same way that you book all of your other training now. We're also going to be organising some workshops with families through the Parent Carer Forum, who you might be familiar with, so that families can get a really good understanding of what this document is and what it means for their child within your setting. So our vision for young children with emerging additional needs and/or SEND in Northumberland is that they will have the best start in life and that they are supported by highly effective, inclusive early years practitioners to achieve their best, thrive and realise their full potential, to become confident, independent individuals living fulfilling lives, and to make successful transitions throughout their educational life and into adulthood. The key principles of this document are linked to the Northumberland Local Area SEND strategy, with a particular focus on the following principles: placing the views of families and children at the heart of our services, identifying needs as early as possible, developing high quality inclusive provision with every child having access to at least a good, as judged by Ofsted, early years provision as close to home as possible. Earlier settings must have regard to the SEND Code of Practice. This means that they should do what it says or be able to explain why they've not done so. In this case, they should be able to explain what they have done instead. And for children with an Education, Health and Care Plan or an EHCP, early years settings must abide by the best endeavours duty outlined in the Children and Families Act 2014. So most children in early years settings will be taught through Quality First teaching at a universal level. However, some children will require a more targeted offer to support their emerging additional needs, and a few of them might need specialist support to ensure that their SEND needs are met. The graduated approach refers to the ongoing process of assess, plan, do, review, which is used in all settings. All early years settings have a responsibility to implement the graduated approach when working with young children with emerging additional needs and SEND. and expectations of Northumberland settings in relation to inclusive practice are based on the graduated approach model. Okay, I'm going to come off this slide now and I'm going to show you where you can find the ordinarily available provision document. So I'm going to stop presenting that one and I'm going to share. Okay, so hopefully you can all see this. I've just opened a new tab. You need to go to northumberlandeducation.co.uk. And this is what that page looks like. If you scroll down, you'll see early years foundation stage. So if you click on that, I'll take you to our team. Oh, little pop up there for the OAP document. That'll take you to our team's page. And then you need to go to early years inclusion and send and press click here. And the OAP document is the first one on the left-hand side. So if you click on that, it'll open the document. Now, I think some people probably would quite like to print this off. That's absolutely fine, but just bear in mind that this version through Northumberland Education is the most up-to-date version. You know, any like changes or links or anything that have been changed, that's where they'll be on this version. So just remember that. So along the bottom of every page, we've got some controls. So we've got previous page, contents page, and next page. And within the contents page, if you click on any of these, it'll take you directly to that area of the document. There are certain parts of this document that you'll be using more than others, but I'll just do a little walkthrough so that you're familiar with all of it just in case. So starts off with a forward from David Street and then a forward from Kay Summers, our early years advisor. Gives you a bit of an overview about why this document has been created and what it's for. A bit more information there. Anything that's underlined is a hyperlink. So if you click it, it'll take you to the document that it's linking to. Bit of information about the graduated approach there, which would be good to share with all of your staff. Working in partnership with families. And then inclusive practice from conception to 5. So this one explains kind of what's included in the whole document, really, the universal, the targeted, and the specialist support. Universal obviously should thread through all 3 of these. And then on the bottom there, we've got a bit about every child's entitlement. And again, these are hyperlinked if you want to just click on to find out more information. The early years foundation stage, which you'll all be very familiar with, we've just taken kind of the key points in relation to inclusive practice. So then we talk a bit about identifying a child's primary area of need, because correctly identifying that is vital to make sure that you have got the right support in place for the child. And this slide will kind of help you to pick that apart a little bit and think about what you're actually seeing. When you're identifying the primary area of need, you really need to be thinking about what is it that has the biggest impact on the child day to day, not the impact on the adults. So a lot of what we see from a behaviour perspective in early years, some people assume that means that the primary area of need would be social, emotional and mental health. But actually, if you really unpick it, the need is communication and interaction. And it's just that the behaviour is the hard part for the adults to manage, whereas actually the child's need is really within communication and interaction. So the document's broken down into the areas of the SEND code of practice, and they're all different colours, which hopefully will help you to remember which section you're looking at. They all have the same layout as well. So they all start with the role of the adult and then enabling environments, which obviously is universal. I'm not going to read through them because I think it's really important that you have the time to do that on your own. Then we move into targeted support. So if you've implemented everything from universal and the child is still not kind of where you think they should be, then you would maybe think about moving on to targeted support. So we've broken it down into what you might see. So obviously that one's difficulties with attention. Again, don't forget the underlined bits are linked, so they'll take you to a video or a document or a website that helps you with that particular strategy. All of these bubbles have strategies and activity ideas in them. And obviously some of them will absolutely overlap within the different areas of need. When we're thinking about the difficulties, just remember that we're talking about age-appropriate activities and compared to what they would be expected to be doing for their age. So that's targeted. And then we go into specialist. And again, these are all linked. So they'll take you to maybe a referral or just some further information. So then we move on to cognition and learning. And again, it's the exact same layout as the previous one. And, you know, like I said, a lot of the bubbles probably overlap. Social, emotional, and mental health. And then finally, sensory and or physical needs. If a child has a visual impairment or a hearing impairment, then they absolutely should have support in place from the sensory support team, who they've put their contact details on further down. Let me find it. Just here. So yeah, anything at all relating to like I say, a child with a vision impairment or a hearing impairment, then they will absolutely help you to put things in place if you just contact them. So then we've got Appendix 1, so the definition of each broad area, which again would help you to identify the primary area of need. And then Appendix 2 for further links there. And that's the end of the document. So let me just come back on to here. Sorry, I'm just going to reshare the PowerPoint with the slides. Okay, so I hope that was useful, and like I say, take some time to really get familiar with it and to help your staff team to really get familiar with it as well. So just thinking about the documents that this OAP guidance replaces, the inclusion toolkit isn't really around anymore. As such, we've uploaded all of those documents from there. So things like action review records and the inclusion grid, for example, they are on Northumberland Education now within the send and inclusion bit that I just took you to just now. They're all in there. And then some other changes for early years inclusion. So over the next few months, we're changing the way that you request inclusion support. That's going to all be done through the School Readiness Passport, which is really exciting. And also applying for E-Star funding as well. That's going to change and go through the passport eventually. And by moving everything onto the School Readiness Passport, it's just going to really kind of stop you guys from having to double up. Because a lot of the questions that are asked on the EY Star form, for example, are asked on the inclusion request form as well. And you know, it's just going to really marry up with individual children on the passport and kind of make it a lot easier and lower the workload for you guys. Yeah, so that's it really. That's the briefing. Like I say, keep an eye out for training that we're going to offer, which will go a lot more in depth with how to use the document in practice. But yeah, I hope that was useful. Please do get in touch with any questions that you do have, and we hope you enjoy starting to use the document. Thank you.